What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. My usual team selection video ahead of blank game week 36. We'll go ahead with the usual transfers, captaincy and team selection, but we'll also have a look back at my previous game week. It's been a good one. I'm on over 100 points on my free hit and into the top 10k. So let's get straight into the video. So let's start off by having a look back at my game week 35 team and the transfers I made. So if you didn't know already, I was on my free hit in game week 35. I didn't have that many double game week players out, so I decided to play my free hit to hopefully maximize the points that I could gain. So what this meant for my team is on my free hit, I start off with 3 players who have already played both of their matches. I had no single game week players in my free hit, but Gaeta, Zaha and Iheanacho have both played all of their matches. Gaeta kept a clean sheet in the first match of the double game week, however in the 3-1 loss against Southampton he only managed to pick up 2 more points. Zaha was the big disappointment of the game week for me, with 3 with a clean sheet in the first fixture and just 1 point in the second fixture, having picked up a yellow card in the 93rd minute. Iheanacho did good enough for me. He's very highly owned, so I didn't mind quite how well he did. 9 points in the double game week, happy with that. Moving back into the defence, I have 3 defenders who have all performed well so far, with Trent, Dean and Shaw all still having a fixture left. Trent with a clean sheet, Luca Dean also with a clean sheet, and Shaw, having picked up a rest in the second match, should be back in line to start against Liverpool. Hopefully some more returns to push all these defenders up over the 10-point mark, but at least 1 or 2 returns from them is definitely on the cards. Into the midfield we add onto my Luke Shaw to complete my Manchester United triple up that I had on my free hit. Greenwood with 16 points having started both matches. He may not start against Liverpool, however 18 points already in the bag with 2 goals as well as bonus points on top of that. Captain Bruno Fernandes started the first game picking up 10 points and came off the bench to pick up just 1 point in the second match. However, this means he's highly likely to start against Liverpool, so let's hope for some final points for Bruno Fernandes in this triple game week. Finally, to complete my midfield, we had Mo Salah and Sadio Mane. So Mane was a big differential for me and I was very happy to see him pick up a goal and bonus points against Southampton in the first match of the double game week. This means that Mane is on a massive 11 points for me with still a game to go against Manchester United. Salah again a highly owned asset, but an assist for Mane's goal with 6 points against Southampton. Happy enough with this and another fixture, so let's see what Salah can do in the final match of game week 35. The final player we have is Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who is also on 9 like Iheanacho, but also still has a match to play against Aston Villa in the 6 o'clock, the early match on Thursday evening. Again, a lot of players left to play for me, so let's hope for some extra points to come in the final games of the game week. On my bench we had Forster, who actually outscored Gaeta with 10 points with a penalty save. However, I was never going to start him over Gaeta, given that I didn't know if he was going to start even one of the matches. Just happy that my bench players did perform in case I needed him. Ward was the other defender that I went with, Crystal Palace, to back up in case anyone didn't start. He did pick up a clean sheet and then just 1 point in the second match, so 6 points on my bench, but I will not be calling on any of them. Overall, at the moment, it does mean I'm on 102 points. Absolutely buzzing that I've passed the 100 mark with still plenty of players left to play. It's moved my overall score up to 2,305 and given me an incredible game week rank of 30k. My best game week of the season so far. I don't think I'll beat it for a long time, so absolutely happy with that. It has given me a green arrow, a very big one as well, from 14k inside the top 10k to up to 6k. I'm now about 15 points inside the top 10k, so very happy with that, and let's hope that I can hold on to it for the rest of the game week and the rest of the season. So with that game week now behind us, let's move on to my potential transfers ahead of game week 36. Just a quick reminder of what my team looks like before I make any transfers. It is a blank game week, so there is no fixture for Arsenal, Leicester, Manchester United or Chelsea. So if you have players from those teams, they will score you 0 points this week. So at the moment, I currently do have 11 players out, but it is a 5-4-1 including Saiz, who is away at Tottenham. I do have just 1 free transfer, but we'll get into where I plan on using that in the later parts of the video. So let's start off by having a look at some potential transfers out first. The first one we had, as I mentioned, is Saiz. Now, a difficult fixture this week and for the remainder of the season, and Wolves don't look particularly comfortable defensively at the moment. With Bolly out, they're playing a back four at the moment and it isn't working for them. As well as this, Saiz got benched in the most recent game, so I can't even be confident that he starts in any of the remaining matches. So I do plan on transferring Saiz out, or if I don't sell him, he will be on my bench for the remainder of the season. Next up is Jamie Vardy. Vardy has been very disappointing for me and other managers in recent weeks, with only picking up a few returns in the past 5 game weeks since I brought him in on my wildcard. There are plenty of other forwards that I could consider, and we'll get into each of them in turn in just a minute, but Jamie Vardy is definitely the forward that I will look to take out in order to make way for them. The final one is Nat Phillips. Now, I don't think Nat Phillips is a bad option. However, I do currently have triple Liverpool with Salah, Jota and Phillips. The one missing for me is Trent, and I don't think I want to use 2 transfers selling one of my midfielders in order to get him in. So upgrading Phillips to Trent may seem like a sideways move. However, over the final 3 game weeks of the season, given the attacking threat that Trent has and the bonus points he can get even when it's just a clean sheet, I think will pay off. With that being said, let's move on to my potential transfers in and who could be coming in place of these players. The first player I spoke about is Trent. 3 great fixtures for Liverpool to end the season, and we know what he can do both from attacking returns as well as those bonus points. I really think it's a great option to have Trent. He's one of the best defenders in the game. We've seen it over the past few seasons, and he seems to be returning back to form whilst fighting for a place in the England starting lineup for the Euros. So Trent has a lot of motivation to perform over the last 3 games, and I definitely want to have him in my team. The final one is a forward. Now, I've left this blank because I'm going to do something slightly different and go into a bit more detail about the 4 forwards that I'm considering to be my Jamie Vardy replacement. So Trent will come into my team. Probably it will have to be Phillips that makes way, but I will also bring a forward into my team in replacement of Jamie Vardy. So going now into some of these cheap forwards for the run-in that both I am considering, but 4 options that I really think you guys should look at if you don't have them in your team already. The first one we have is Patrick Bamford of Leeds. Now, 3 great fixtures for Leeds to end the season, with Burnley away, Southampton away and West Brom at home. Bamford seems to be back amongst the goals, having scored in the most recent game week, and given that the final game week of the season will be the first time that a Leeds team has played in front of a home crowd in the Premier League for 15 years, I think that is a lot of motivation for that Leeds team to perform, not only in that game week, but to keep the fluidity going into that. So I really like Bamford as an option. We know Leeds can score a lot of goals, so he is definitely one that I'm considering. Next up, we have Chris Wood of Burnley. Now, again, maybe not quite as easy run of fixtures with Leeds, Liverpool, but then Sheffield United away on the final game week of the season. Wood is in such hot form with plenty of goals in the recent game weeks, not just the past couple, but a strong run of form all the way back from Christmas. Potentially a more difficult run than the other 3 we have on this list, but we know that Wood is the main goal threat for Burnley and there is always returns for him, especially against some of those easier fixtures like Sheffield United on the final game of the season. Next, we have Antonio of West Ham. Now, Antonio is quite a nice differential, which is why I may consider him even more over the other options. Having been injured, his ownership has dropped all the way below 5%, but Brighton away, West Brom away and Southampton at home in the final 3 games of the season, while West Ham are fighting for Champions League football, could just make Antonio an absolutely brilliant option that has very low ownership at the moment. He does have slight injury concerns as he has picked up several injuries over the past couple of seasons. However, given how much he is involved for West Ham, if they do want a chance of getting into those Champions League spots, Antonio will have to get some returns for me over the final 3 game weeks. The final name on the list is Dominic Calvert-Lewin of Everton. Now, he's performed well so far in the double game week and then goes on to play Sheffield United at home and Wolves at home before Manchester City away on the final game of the season. Over the next 2 games, Calvert-Lewin has the best run of fixtures. However, it is that final game against Manchester City that is slightly putting me off. It's just whether I think Calvert-Lewin over the next 2 matches can outscore the rest of them over the final 3. For example, I think Bamford has potential for returns over all 3, as does Antonio, whereas Calvert-Lewin I think is much more restricted to just these 2 matches. That being said, Sheffield United at home is probably the best fixture on paper, and I do like what Calvert-Lewin has done and how Everton have performed in recent weeks. So these are the 4 forwards that I'm considering going into the final 3 game weeks of the season. So just to summarise those transfers, Saiss, Vardy and Phillips are the 3 players that I'm considering transferring out. However, given that I want Trent as my defender replacement, it will have to be Phillips that makes way because I already have 3 Liverpool players in my team. Saiss is a player that I'm not happy with in my team, but given there's only 3 game weeks left, I'm quite happy to leave him on my bench 3rd sub for the rest of the season. Jamie Vardy with a blank game week and then 2 difficult fixtures afterwards, as well as being off form, will make way and leave my team. The 4 forwards that I'm considering are Bamford, Antonio, Calvert-Lewin and Chris Wood. I also considered Callum Wilson of Newcastle, however he has now picked up an injury and so will be out for the remainder of the season. With all that being said, let's have a look at how my team could line up for blank game week 36. My game week 36 team and team selection. So to start with, I plan on making a -4. So Vardy to Antonio is the transfer I plan on making. I've gone with Antonio because I think West Ham have the most to play for, and picking a striker with motivation is definitely something that I think is worth considering. I then also think that I will do Phillips to Trent. Whether it pays off for a 4-point hit this week, I probably don't think it will. However, over the course of the final 3 game weeks of the season, I expect Trent to outscore Phillips by at least 4 points, if not more. I know that I want the other 2 transfers that I have left this season to do other moves, so I'd rather make it early and use up 3 weeks to make up those final points rather than leaving it to another game. So at the moment I plan on doing Jamie Vardy and Nat Phillips to Antonio and Trent for a -4. This will mean in goal back comes Ederson, and now given that Manchester City have just lifted the title, I'm sure they'll either be out partying and so could put out a below par performance, but more likely they will be going out to try and win that game in as much style as they can, and a clean sheet is definitely on the cards away at Newcastle. Into the defence, we start off with 2 very attacking defenders. So Dallas with Burnley away, I really like him as an option. Burnley have been good recently, especially going forward, so there is a potential for no clean sheet here for Dallas. However, it's the amount of attacking threat he adds on top of that that makes him such a great option. Next up in my defence, we have Trent Alexander-Arnold of Liverpool. I've spoken about him already several times, so I won't go into that much detail. West Brom away is a great fixture. West Brom have now been relegated, so the fight, the desire may not be there from them anymore. So hopefully some clean sheets as well as attacking potential returns from Trent this week. Elsewhere in my defence, to complete my 4-man defence, we have Soufal and Konza. So Soufal has Brighton away. Now Brighton have shown some good form in front of goal, but West Ham will really need to be fighting both going forward but also defensively to win all of their remaining games if they want to be in with a shout of getting Champions League football. Konza is my final defender. Now Aston Villa have been worse defensively recently. However, Crystal Palace away. Crystal Palace have looked okay. They've created a few chances in the double game week, but I still think there's a good chance for clean sheets, and Konza definitely has the chance of getting on the end of a cross or a corner, so let's hope for some points from him in game week 36. Into midfield, we start off with Lingard. He hasn't been in amongst the goals as much recently. He was always going to reduce the amount of points that he's scoring. However, he's definitely creating chances with Antonio back in the team, so let's hope for some returns from Lingard. Next up is Son, who again, even though he had a single game week in game week 35, did return points, and a very nice 9 points it was for his owners. Wolves at home. Wolves have been poor recently. They look like their season's finished. They haven't got much to play for, whereas Tottenham are still in with a shout of Champions League football, even though it's unlikely. Or without that, it will be Europa League football as well for them, so there is still something to play for. So let's hope that Son can continue his strong run of form. To complete my midfield, we have the Liverpool duo that is Jota and Salah. So whilst on my free hit, I did opt for Mane over Jota. I've gone back to Jota and Salah. Both away at Brighton. Brighton may not be worrying too much about their clean sheets, just wanting to play some free-flowing football in the final few game weeks now that they have been relegated. So let's hope this leaves some room in behind for Jota and Salah to get some returns in game week 36. Finally, the forwards. So we have Antonio, who I plan on bringing in. Brighton away. Now, Brighton have been good defensively, so I'm more bringing Antonio in for the longer term of the final 3 game weeks, but alongside him we do have Harry Kane. Now, Harry Kane's returns have dried up a little bit in recent weeks, however we know what he's capable of, still being top for both goals and assists so far this season with just 3 weeks left. He will be wanting to win the Golden Boot as well as being top for assists, so there's a lot of motivation for Kane on a personal level, as well as hoping to get Tottenham into the Europa League or Champions League places. This does mean that on my bench I leave Forster of Southampton with Saiss, Smith Rowe and Iheanacho. Now, Smith Rowe and Iheanacho both don't have a fixture, while Saiss has a difficult fixture away at Tottenham. It does just give me a little bit of cover in case someone doesn't play, whilst most other managers will be putting out a bare squad of 11 in case there is that rotation. Given the amount of fixtures there are at the moment, I do have Saiss ready to come off my bench. So that's how I line up, but let's have a look who I plan on captaining and vice captaining this week. So first up we have vice captain, which is currently on Harry Kane. I know that he's chasing that golden boot, chasing the most assists in the league, so he has plenty to play for. Wolves at home is a nice fixture, although we know Wolves have the potential when they play 5 at the back to be quite difficult to break down, which is why Kane has only got my vice captaincy this week. My captain is on his golden boot competitor in Mo Salah. West Brom away, they've now been relegated. Salah seems on a good run of form with plenty of goals recently, so Salah is my captain. I think there's some great room for returns here, both goals and assists that he did pick up in game week 35. So Salah is my captain and Kane is my vice captain for game week 36. With that all being said, if you have any questions about your teams, the blank game week, the double game week that's just gone, or players that you're considering for the final 3 game weeks of the season, drop them in the comments down below or message me over on Twitter and I'll make sure to answer them ahead of the game week 36 deadline. Good luck in your final few game weeks. If I don't see you before then, there'll be plenty of streams and videos to come. Good luck everyone. If you have enjoyed, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, but I will see you all next time.